Hey, thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Phil Lipoff.
I'm Kim Christensen. We begin tonight with an update to the crash involving a high school wrestling team from Grand Junction. That crash happened more than a week ago, and Lakewood police say one of the victims has died. 18-year-old Julio Vasquez Gonzalez was one of 16 people hurt in the crash between an SUV and a bus 8 days ago. Police say he was a passenger in the SUV. This week, police arrested 22-year-old Andrew Miller, the driver of the SUV. Police say he was speeding when he slammed into the bus. The wrestling team on that bus was in town for a tournament. Police say 16 people were taken to the hospital. Many of them are still being treated for their injuries. Miller is now facing charges, including vehicular assault and child abuse.
Big changes ahead for millions of student loan borrowers. The U.S. Department of Education is now moving to shut down a repayment program used by more than 7 million people.
And that change could mean higher monthly bills for many. 9 News reporter Jaleesa Rosari joins us now. Jaleesa, it looks like this was a long time coming.
Yeah, that's right, Kim and Phil. This repayment plan that was created by President Biden was in legal limbo for quite some time. Multiple red states challenged that plan, arguing Biden used it as a workaround to provide mass student loan forgiveness. In order to settle those legal challenges, the U.S. Department of Education has agreed to get rid of it altogether, leaving a lot of borrowers unsure of what to do next.
The endless headlines don't help the headache.
Yeah, very much.
Lexi Allen and so many other borrowers have from navigating the student loan repayment process.
So it's definitely been confusing and a bit frustrating too.
Allen is a 2023 MSU Denver graduate. She was also once one of the millions of borrowers that utilized the SAVE plan, a program that lowered monthly payments significantly, some even down to $0, and fast-tracked loan forgiveness for certain low-income borrowers. It's also a plan that has faced a lengthy legal battle and is now going away. The U.S. Department of Education announced a settlement agreement that would put an end to the SAVE plan, impacting more than 7 million people.
So we're going to have a very muddled situation as each person figures out, what the heck do I do now?
Karen Cody Hopkins is a Colorado student loan lawyer. She says borrowers should go back, review their current plan, and utilize the Fed's loan repayment calculator to figure out the best alternative.
It's going to take them a while to process 7 million applications. So there may be other holds that sort of show up as we go along.
The administration says they will start reaching out to people that are impacted in the coming weeks. Those currently on a SAVE plan will have a limited time to move to a new program and start repaying their loans.
You know, there's people out here that do want to get rid of this debt. However, the circumstances just make it difficult.
Even with a limited income, Allen has already started paying back her loans. But with plans to go back to school this fall for her master's in social work, she can only hope her next degree comes with fewer headaches.
Education to me is access. You know, I want to not die with debt. However, I kind of accept that that might be the case.
Now, the court still needs to approve the agreement, something Cody Hopkins says will likely happen early next year. With this big news, she says you may see an increase in scammers trying to take advantage of people confused about the current loan repayment process. She says be careful if someone reaches out with a repayment solution that sounds too good to be true. Jaleesa Rosari, 9 News.
Yeah, that's a good heads up with so many people, millions, you said, using this. All right, Jaleesa, thank you. Well, take a look outside. It is beautiful.
And it was in the 60s again.
And it has been in the 60s again and again.
And there was like no wind today. It was just perfect. That makes it 6 days in a row, if you're counting, of unseasonably warm weather.
Counting?
Even warmer temps are expected in the work week ahead.
I felt like today was August football, not December football. I really did. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's really nice and warm temperatures, like you just mentioned, the 6th day in a row. And we have more days consecutively as we head into next week that we're expecting the 60s. Here's the next 3 days, noticing tomorrow 65 degrees. And then let's fast forward to Wednesday, the upper 60s, 67 degrees is what I have forecasted for your Wednesday. So still staying nice and warm. I hope a lot of people are enjoying this because as we head into the next year and also the next month of January, of course, we're going to start to see the cooler temperatures. But current temperatures right now still fairly really warm out there. The upper 40s as well as the low to mid 50s. We're at 57 degrees at Central Park, and it was a warm day this afternoon. We even saw some 70s out there, especially down towards Centennial. You saw 72 degrees today. 67 was our high here in Denver, officially at the airport, over towards the eastern plains. Finally, some warmer temperatures. The last couple of days has been rather cool because of that storm system that was up towards the north of us. The next couple of hours, we'll drop down to the low to mid 40s. Not as cool as what we saw last night, around 45 degrees by 10 p.m. this evening. But satellite and radar, of course, not much going on out there. Our precipitation, there's no precipitation in my forecast until maybe possibly on Thursday for the high country. But overall, if we're talking about naughty or nice list as we head into Monday, it's looking nice once again, unless you don't like the warm temperatures, then it might be on the naughty list. But overall, we'll talk more in detail about what to expect for the upcoming week later on in the show.
Thanks, Jaden. And now to a developing story, national news. Police in Providence, Wyoming, Rhode Island, have a person of interest after a deadly mass shooting at Brown University.
At least 2 people were killed, 9 others injured. The shooting took place at the school's engineering and physics building while students were taking their final exams, ready to go home for the holiday break. Police say they detained a man in his 20s from Wisconsin and that investigators were not searching for anyone else. Authorities recovered 2 handguns, they tell us, and found 2 loaded 30-round magazines. Law enforcement telling the Associated Press that the gunman fired more than 40 rounds from a 9mm handgun into a classroom. Surveillance video shows someone, as you see here, dressed in black, calmly walking away from the scene. One student who survived a 2019 high school shooting in California described the traumatic experience at Brown.
At first, didn't really think it was real, those types of alarms, oh, someone set it off or something happened, but never in my mind would it occur that there was actually a shooting until hundreds of texts started rolling in from everyone. When I was shot at my school, they knew exactly where the shooter was within the hour. I didn't have to deal with this fear for hours on end of where this person is, could they be doing it again?
It's amazing that young people are now repeating this experience. The university said all remaining classes and exams are canceled and students were free to leave. A shelter-in-place order for the city was lifted earlier on today.
At least 15 people are dead after a mass shooting at one of the world's most famous beaches. 2 shooters, father and son, opened fire at Hanukkah celebration in Sydney, Australia today. Hundreds of people had gathered at Sydney's Bondi Beach for an event to celebrate the first day of Hanukkah when the gunman opened fire. At least 38 others were injured in the attack, ranging in age from 10 to 87. Australia's Prime Minister called the attack an act of anti-Semitic terrorism. Police say one gunman, a 50-year-old man, was shot and killed by officers. The second was arrested and is in critical condition. A local rabbi says the Jewish community will stand strong.
As a Jewish people, we will not be silenced. As a Jewish people, our light will not be dimmed. And the holiday of Hanukkah will remind us and the world that a little bit of light dispels a lot of darkness. And what we need to do is add in our light.
This is the latest attack on Australia's Jewish community in recent years. Australian government officials say anti-Semitic incidents grew more than 3-fold the year after the Hamas attack on Israel in 2023.
Back here in Colorado, a man is set to spend decades in prison after killing his ex-girlfriend in Greeley. This happened last year. Court records show 24-year-old Gabriel Esparza pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 40 years at the Department of Corrections on Friday. According to an arrest affidavit, Esparza admitted to killing 24-year-old Sierra Menninger last December. He told police that the two got into an argument and pointed a gun at her while he was drunk. Esparza stated that he didn't know a bullet was in the chamber when he shot her. Police say Menninger was a member of the Marine Corps Junior Reserve officers and a Northridge High School graduate.
A new pilot program is testing wastewater to track drug use in 5 cities in El Paso and Teller counties. That's according to our news partners at the Gazette. The program will test, record, and study human waste for the presence of opioids. It's similar to the method that we used during tracking COVID during the pandemic. The Pikes Peak region, 16 Opioid Abatement Council says the purpose is to provide early warnings to prevent spikes in overdoses and potentially save lives. The council controls local government disbursement of money from several lawsuit settlements reached nationwide by big pharma companies. Colorado is expected to receive nearly $1 billion in opioid settlement funds over the next 18 years. Similar programs have already rolled out in different cities across the state. Another Sunday, another back and forth Broncos game, but we're figuring things out in the second half. Broncos ahead of the Packers right now, 27-23 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and as always on Sundays, once the game ends, we're going to take you live to Mile High for post-game reaction from Sean Payton and, of course, all the players. In the meantime, fans are showing up big for the Broncos today. The team needs the support as they look to clinch a spot in the playoffs.
And 9 News reporter Janelle Finch is joining us right now outside the stadium. By the way, it's 27-26 right now, really close. But you've talked to fans. How are they feeling?
Kim, Phil, real quick, I just have to let you know I am trying really hard to stay right here with you, but every time I hear that stadium erupt, I want to turn around, but we know that this is just how Broncos country shows up at home. Today was no different, but the stakes are really high. We know that the team is currently on a 10-game winning streak, and they haven't lost a game at home this season. So fans going into today's game, we're hoping that those streaks would continue.
I think the Broncos are going to win by like 2 points. It's gonna be low scoring, defensive heavy. But I think they're gonna pull it out in the end with a field goal.
A W is a W if you win by 1 or 100.
That's what we always say, is a win is a win.
I think it's gonna be a Bo Nix comeback, like it always is.
It's all they do is close games. That's all they do.
If you lose by 1, you lose by 30, so it doesn't matter. So if we play real well and win by 3-2, I'm good with that.
That's right.
7-6, 10-9, I'm good with any of those.
So you heard it from fans. They just want to see a win. Whether the score stays the exact same, 27-26, we'll take it. That means the Broncos win. So we'll see what happens in these last few minutes. But until then, we'll send it back to you. Live in Denver.
You can look around your shoulder now every time you hear something.
No, totally. And just as we went out to you, there was an incredible catch, Broncos catch. So that's what you were hearing.
All right. Thanks, Janelle.